What are some of the key areas of personal growth that, let's say, entrepreneurs should focus on?
Business is so based on everything being in alignment. Like you have to be your best self.
So, how will you define personal growth, and why do you believe it is essential for running a successful business?
So that's a great question. Personal growth it's about learning who you are. It's about getting to know yourself. And very
Okay.
often what we do is,
So, you mean to say that people actually do not know themselves?
yes, exactly. Exactly. We think we do, and we're used to living a certain way.
Welcome to the King Obed podcast. In today's episode, we will be looking into a subject which affects all of us, and that is the subject of personal growth. Today, we want to look into the subject which we can situate into the context of running a successful business. With me is a seasoned coach, Charles Rose, and he's been in this game for so long. He specializes in helping people to find their true selves and how they can also be successful in their entrepreneurship journey. So, Charles, welcome to the King Obed podcast.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here.
Great, 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 great. So, how long have you been coaching people for them to find their true self, to know the authentic self?
It's been about 25 years at this point that I've been doing this.
Okay, for 25 good years.
Yeah.
Wow. What are some of your personal experiences from which you've picked from all of these coaches?
So for me, I learned my coach I learned from in San Francisco. I met her in 1999, and
Okay.
working with her just changed my life. And after having sold my company, I realized I hadn't done my own personal work. And so I very much needed to do that because it was really limiting my experience.
Okay.
So working with her, like I said, it really changed my life. And so from there, I wanted to share that with other people because I thought that running my company would provide all the fulfillment that I needed.
Hmm.
But it turned out that it was exciting and it was great, but it wasn't deeply fulfilling like being of service to people. And that's where
Okay.
I wanted to do that with the coaching.
Wow. Wow. So how will you define personal growth, and why do you believe it is essential for running a successful business?
So that's a great question. Personal growth it's about learning who you are. It's about getting to know yourself. And very
Okay.
often what we do is we're not in touch with ourselves. We're just kind of, if a crisis comes up, we just sort of work through it, but most of us aren't acknowledging ourselves. We're not connecting with ourselves through this. And so we're collecting all this accumulated stuff that we haven't dealt with. And usually we kind of shove it into the basement
Yep.
and we don't really talk about it. But over time, that starts to be a liability. That starts to do harm to us.
Yep.
And we need to start becoming aware of all the things that we haven't processed and worked with.
Wow. So you mean to say that people actually do not know themselves?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. We think we do, and we're used to living a certain way.
Hmm.
But when we actually take the time to start to
Yeah.
unpack and look at some things, you can be surprised what you learn.
Wow. Wow. So can you walk us through the process of for someone to know him or herself? Can you walk us through the process? Are there specific things you need to do before you can know your true self as a person?
Sure. I think first of all is realizing it's stepping away from um, being so harsh on ourselves and so critical of ourselves. We need that critical eye,
Hmm.
but when we're born, our parents are very happy we're just born. We haven't
Yes.
achieved anything yet. And it's not like they're like, "What have you done today?"
Yeah.
You know? It's like, so they're like, "I love you just because you're there. I love
Yeah.
you because you're just breathing." And as a parent, I'm going to teach you how to do all these other things, but you're amazing as you are. And somehow that gets lost in our growth. And so very often we keep thinking that we need something to remind us that we're okay, that we're lovable, that we're deserving. And the truth is that's innate. We get that for free, but we have to remember that. So I think that's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two would be start creating situations where you can get to know how you're feeling about things. So
Okay.
that might be write a journal or go for a walk and maybe have a conversation with yourself. Write down what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and that can start to give you an idea of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You can work with a coach who can kind of help elicit that from you, pull that from you, and understand, like, okay, here's what I'm working with. And then I also have some tools that I work with people. One is like a clarity process. So in getting to know yourself,
Okay.
that's always the hardest. Getting to know someone else is generally a little bit easier, but getting to know yourself, it's giving yourself space to understand, what are my thoughts? What are my feelings? Meditation can help, because if you
Okay.
just get still, then you can start to understand, okay, what am I feeling? What am
Mm-hmm.
I thinking? And is that useful? What can I do with that? What is it telling me about myself? So over time, we learn to be kind to ourselves. It's
Okay.
like if you have a friend, if you have a child, if you have a partner, very likely you're kind to that person.
Yeah.
Usually, the person we're the least kind to is ourselves. So it's learning to be good to you. It's learning to be good to yourself. It's like, I think we all have this thing that it's like, if I treat myself poorly, then I'll learn or I'll grow. But
Yeah.
it's like, if that was going to work, it would have worked by now. It's like, it's going to be
We've tried it and it's still not working.
exactly, exactly. So we need kindness with ourselves. We need to invest in ourselves.
Okay. 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 So you need to know your true self and you need to create situations which can relate in order to find your true self out of it.
Yeah. I mean, the way that this cost me a lot was I pushed and pushed and I built a company and I sold that company for $10 million, but
Okay.
I didn't think I deserved it. And so I was so harsh on myself that I didn't think I deserved to keep it. And so one way or another, I went through a divorce. I created some bad investment decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I did a whole lot of things to effectively get rid of that money.
Yeah.
And if I had done my work beforehand and saw that, of course, I deserve this, I would have held on to it. And I don't want other people to miss out or not have the abundance that they deserve because they're ignoring their own personal work.
Okay. So in your 25 years of going into this area of
Yeah.
coaching people,
Yes.
what is that one significant thing that you've noticed about these people? What is so common about these people who come to you that they need help in terms of coaching?
Well, they're all business people. And in
Okay.
order to, most of the people who run a business are willing to do the work. Most of the people who run a business realize I have to do things in order for my business to go.
Hmm.
And so they're a lot more motivated than most people. Most people aren't as motivated, so they're not willing to look at the things they're afraid of.
Yeah.
Whereas business people are usually, okay, what do I have to do to make this work? And so I'd say the biggest common denominator is they're all entrepreneurs in some way, and
Hmm.
they're driven to be their best selves. It's like they're like an athlete. And so they want to be able to run the fastest or jump the highest or, be the
Yes.
best at their game. And they're willing to put in the work to do that. And that includes the personal stuff.
Okay. Okay. So in your experience, what are some of the common we will say misconceptions people have about personal growth?
Yeah. It's not it's not scary. It's usually something where you start to realize, oh my God, this thing that I've been holding this way, it's
Yeah.
actually that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought I thought my father was angry at me when he did this, but it turns out he was just upset at something else.
Yeah.
And you start to put these things together where you realize, wow, I'm okay. I'm better than I thought I was. I deserve love. I deserve joy and abundance and a successful business. And I know these things sound uh, easy, and I know they sound sort of obvious, but it's like this, it's something that's so often neglected that people so often just try to shove to the side. And it's like you can't push this stuff away. You've got to feel what it is you've been afraid of feeling,
Yeah.
and then it will pass through you, and then we move on to the next thing.
Okay. Okay. So, what are some of you talk in respect to helping business people, entrepreneurs, know
Yes.
their true self in order to succeed in their businesses? What to you in your number of years of being a coach?
Yes.
What are some of the key areas of personal growth that, let's say, entrepreneurs should focus on to ensure that their business thrives?
Hmm. So um, I always tell people one of the things that we do is we go. Business is so based on everything being in alignment. Like you have to be your best self. So the
Okay.
first thing we do is we go back to your childhood and look at what did your mother, what did your father teach you
Mm-hmm.
about being a person? Did they teach you um, that you're stupid, or that you're smart,
Yeah.
or that you're capable? What did they give you? And it's like sometimes we're carrying around the perception that we had when we were 5 years old,
Yes.
and we need to change that to an adult perception. So it's it's looking at that, and then the other thing I do is I break it out into like 7 different areas. So
Okay.
how are you taking care of yourself in the realm of physical health
Mm-hmm.
and mental health,
Mm-hmm.
emotional and
Mm-hmm.
spiritual health? How are you taking care of your finances? How are you taking care of your relationships with
Yeah.
partner, friends, family, children? And then lastly, how are you taking care of your career? And so what we do is we look at creating a purpose statement for each of these so that you know, why am I in this marriage? Why am I in this company? Why do I need to take care of my physical health? And then you start to see that it's essential for you having the life that you want to have. Well, you've got to eat well, you've got to get good sleep, you've got to
Mm-hmm.
get good food, all of that.
Okay. So these are some of the things. So when we come to you, or when I come to you that I need coaching in an area of personal growth, this you're going to tackle all these areas that you've mentioned, being it
Yes.
mental, physical,
Yes.
spiritual, relationship, and all this in order to like address the whole being of me.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So for the clients that you've coached, you don't come back with feedbacks to for you to know that yes, actually what they came to learn or what you taught them is working for them.
Yeah, I'm always giving feedback.
Okay.
And one of the things that we do is I create a Google Doc for people, and then we share that for homework between all of our sessions. And so we're always looking at, okay, how far did you get on this piece in
Mhm.
defining things? And if they didn't finish something, then we can work on it together. But everybody is always aware. I don't know if I'm answering your question correctly, but there's always something for people to do, and if they aren't able to complete it by themselves, then I'll do it with them.
Okay. 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 So there is always that room for a feedback.
Yes, yes, yes. But usually it's not advice. I'm not going to tell you what to do,
Hmm.
but I'm going to ask you, what do you want the most? And
Okay.
it's like, what is your purpose in your business? What do you need, for example? you know it's like, in this case for you, doing the podcast, I
Hmm.
would ask you, what's your purpose?
Yeah.
You want to get more exposure, you may want to make money, you may want to have, a bigger network.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of reasons.
Yes.
And then let's make sure that you're receiving what it is you want to receive out of this. And we'll measure it and we'll create goals and like that.
Okay. 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 So these are some of the areas in which you help people in making sure that they streamline themselves and then they get to their peak as well.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So you deal with CEOs, you deal with businessmen, entrepreneurs, young men, young people all over.
Yeah. Yes.
And how long does it take for you to train somebody or to coach somebody in order to say that, okay, I've coached you for 1 year, so you should be okay, you should be fine with yourself to be able to deal with your own stars?
Hmm.
Are there timelines?
Yeah, it depends on the person because I have some people that have gone for maybe 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
I have another group that I've seen for maybe 1 to 2 years. And then I have a few people that I've seen for like 3 or 4 years that continue on. So, but I'd say if you want to make some massive if change, it
Hmm.
does take some time. So I'd say give yourself a year. You can do a lot in a year in terms of your own personal growth and your own change. And the idea is that it's always happening. There's always something coming up in
Yeah.
life
Yeah.
that's giving you things to, because once you get the business side going, you may have something that's a challenge in the physical side. And maybe you get that working, and then suddenly there's a relationship, a family relationship that's kind of flaring up and needing your time and
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
So once we get people clear and we've done some visioning, so we understand, okay, this is what I want my future to look like, then it's more kind of maintenance of like, okay, let's keep you in the center lane. You're not too far that way, you're not too far this way, but you're kind of in your center. And that's generally where people are their strongest.
Okay. 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 So how are you able to connect with your clients, the new people who come on board? How are you able to connect with them? How are they able to get in contact with you?
So the best thing for them is just come to my website. It's charlesrose.coach. And that's the easiest way to find me. You could book a free call or send me a message, but I would love to connect with people.
Okay. So is it a program or something anybody who comes on board can afford? I mean, in terms of cost.
Right. It's oriented for a business audience. So
Okay.
anybody who's a startup or a business could absolutely afford it. Yes.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
if you're an individual, I also have some other options. I have a course that I sell for $100, and I have a routine and a meditation pack that I sell for under 20. So there's some little bits that if you're looking for something individual, I can support that too.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. So is there a time where you meet people in person or it's always on remote?
It's always remote. It's always
Okay.
online.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I
And
actually
you
have
are.
one client in town that's in
Mhm,
person, but
mhm.
that's it. Everybody else is on Zoom.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's great. That's great. So for this number of years, are you satisfied with the number of people you've coached and the kind of results you are having as a coach, as a transformative coach, and then
Mm.
also somebody who is into the space of entrepreneurship?
I'm always grateful for the opportunities that I have to coach people,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm always looking for more. So, and that's part of why I'm here is just kind of spreading that word and saying, I'm excited to support new entrepreneurs as well.
Okay, okay, okay. So in your line of coaching, you were talking about you coach people in the area of business, health, spiritual,
Yes,
mental, physical. Yeah.
yes,
So let's break down, for instance, the areas of health you coach people in.
sure,
How does physical health influence business success as well?
sure. So if you're healthy
Mm-hmm.
physically in
Mm-hmm.
business, and you
Yeah.
wake up in the morning and you have lots of energy, then you can devote all that energy to your business. You also have a greater ability to focus when you have had good rest, good food, and you're hydrated. You can do so much more than when you're tired, depleted, like that. So, the physical side, absolutely.
Mm.
Um, Now, do you want me to go and look at the others like mental?
Yes, yes, yes. I was
Sure.
going to ask you. So if you can just break down for
Yeah,
us.
yeah, yeah. So emotional is looking at how do we feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I talk about emotional health, we're checking in and saying, well, how are you feeling? And usually there are a couple of different groups that have created an emotional scale. And I'll bring up a scale for someone. It's like, where are you at from this? Whereas number one is love and joy and empowerment.
Yes.
And like 22 is fear and unhappiness and misery. And it's like, usually people are somewhere along that scale. And so we start to look at what's behind feeling good or not feeling good. And we can use various tools to start looking at, okay, well, why do I feel that way? And if you feel a certain way, there's always a thought that's behind it. So for mental health, I think of that in terms of self awareness. I think about it in terms of how are you growing your mind? So that's like reading books, taking courses, learning new things in business. An entrepreneur is always learning.
Mm-hmm.
So we look at that side as well. Spiritually, generally, entrepreneurship is hard. So you have to have something that you want to lean on, something that gives you strength, because there'll be times that you may need to be patient for years while a market develops. Where are
Yes.
you going to get that patience? For a lot of business leaders, it's their faith, it's their spirituality that gives them strength. Your relationship with your finances. Money is kind of an energy, and it's interesting how we feel about money based on, well, how did our parents feel about
Ye-
money? How did our
Yes.
culture feel about money? And so we have to look at that and create a positive relationship with money. We have to realize we deserve it and that we deserve abundance. Um, and that's very much in alignment with our how we see ourselves in the world.
Okay.
Um, Relations with others, we look at, okay, well, how satisfying are all of your personal relationships? So your family,
Mm-hmm.
your friends, you might be dating someone or married to someone or in a relationship with someone, and then
Yes.
also children. And so each of those has a different purpose. So one thing I do with people is look at, well, what's the purpose for your relationship with your family? You know,
Okay.
your relationship with your parents is different when you're 40 than when you're 11.
Yeah.
So, and then the last one is career. We get very clear about, well, okay, you want to create this business. Why? What's that for? We create a purpose statement for it. Why do you want to create this business? You want to give X and Y and Z. You want to give your time, your energy, your love to this business. What do
Mm-hmm.
you want in return? Obviously, you want financial reward, but what else? A lot of people want acknowledgement. Some people want to just give their gift to the world
Okay.
or know they've made an impact in the world. So it's like that.
So I think one thing runs through from everything you said with regards to mental, physical, spiritual, career, and you
Yes.
keep mentioning purpose, purpose, purpose. So it means that in order to
Yes.
grow, in order to have that, to reach the peak of personal growth, you need to have a
Yes.
purpose.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's part of that self knowing is that to the degree that you can get to know you, you'll get to know what's your purpose in different
Okay.
areas.
Okay. 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 So is that the reason why people now are struggling in that area? Because you realize that most people now do not even know why they are
Yeah,
here, what they want to do for their lives and
exactly.
stuff.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's just taking a little time.
Mm-hmm.
and applying it to that. And I think people would be surprised when you start to take a little time and look at it, something like purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It starts very simply, like maybe part of our purpose in living is just learn to love who we are,
Yeah.
just learn to be comfortable in our own bodies.
Yeah.
That's a great start. And then it's like, okay, well, what do you feel motivated to do? What do you feel called to do? What do you love to do? Because if you can find the things that you love to do, they won't feel like work.
Okay. Okay. So if you love to do the things you want to do, it won't feel like it's a work.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. 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 So it's kind of putting pressure and burden on us because we are feeling it.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Great.
And then that's one of the aspects around life is one of the characteristics of our world is feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And so often there's a lot of things we don't want to feel, so we shove those feelings down as
Yeah.
a survival mechanism. But that only works for a little time.
Yes. Great. 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 So what practical steps can business owners which you've been coaching take to
Mm.
start their journey of personal growth? What are some of the practical steps that we business owners can do or can
I
take?
th- I think some of it is look around and think about what you want to do different than what you're doing today.
Mm-hmm.
So there may be some books that support you in seeing what is available if you were to expand your perspective a bit. Um, so I would say look at some business books that involve also things like Simon Sinek has written a lot about purpose, and
Okay.
so maybe following some of his work. Um, the other thing is whatever you are guided to. Everybody's different in terms of sort of what they like. So
Mm-hmm.
there might be something in spirituality that resonates for somebody. There might be something in a religion. There might be something in someone's scientific writings or quantum
Yeah.
physics.
Yeah.
It's just go and look into whatever it is that feels like you.
Okay. So you need to learn from those the best practices if you want to put it that way. And
Yes,
for instance, people who are doing it, people have written books, read books around it in order to get
yes,
some of these
yes.
practical steps or tips from it.
Well, it's kind of like you can do it yourself,
Mm-hmm.
or you can work with a coach, somebody who's going
Coach.
to guide you through the process. But if you want it to do it yourself, of course, that's available. So
Okay.
you can just look at resources that are available. I would look at some books.
Okay.
There's plenty of audio and online resources now, but that's a little more. You have to decide if you have the energy and the discipline to do that yourself, or if you'd like someone else to work with you.
All right. So if you like someone else to work with you,
Yes.
why would you think, or do you think that somebody would need or should ask for a coach, a
Yes.
transformative coach, in order to reach that peak of personal growth? Do you think it's that necessary? Because this is something, it's personal,
Right.
so I can take it like a personal journey. Why do you think I need a coach?
Right. To get better at something. In
Mm-hmm.
other words, the reason you hire a math tutor is because if you want to get better at math, you know,
Yes.
you can hire a sports tutor if you want to get better at sports.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like you would hire me if you want to get better at applying your true self to your business
Oh.
and working through those so you're in alignment. All of you is aligned going in the same direction. You don't have part of you going this way and part of you going into another direction. Um, so that's what I would say.
Okay. So in effect, if you're a business owner, if you are starting a business, if you're an entrepreneur, you
Yes,
shouldn't decouple your personal self from the business.
that's it. That's it. Because I've known so many people where, I knew a company where the CEO was an alcoholic. And so they had to confront and say, look, if you don't work on this, we're going to have to get rid of you.
Yes.
I know another company where the leader was, he had another issue and he didn't realize he was taking money from the bank accounts of the
Mhm.
company, and they
Mhm.
finally said, we can't do this anymore. It's amazing to me how many personal issues end up hurting businesses. And
Okay.
it's, you've got to get the market right, you got to get the strategy right, but you also have to get the team right, and that's what
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Okay. Okay. So you help CEOs, you help business owners, aside working on their individual self, to have a proper team to help the business run.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Okay. So for instance, entrepreneurs are very busy people and start running about, going about their duties and things. How
Yes.
can they integrate some of these personal growth practices and into their daily routines without them feeling like overwhelmed?
Sure, sure, sure. So it's just take some time in the morning, and
Hmm.
if you can give it 15 or 20 minutes, that'd be amazing. And
Okay.
so sit down and start to look at, see if you can sit in silence for just like 5 or 10 minutes and just let your thoughts go. So that's one piece. The other thing is think about all the things you're grateful for in your
Okay.
life,
Yeah.
and that will make you feel more rich, more wealthy. And then think about what, how you see the rest of your day going. You
Hmm.
can kind of start to plan your day and visualize your day as part of that 15 minutes.
Okay.
Um, so I've got a routine where I take people through that in 8 minutes, and I sell that as a meditation. If your audience wanted a copy of that, I'd just give that to them for free. So
Oh, great, great,
if
great, great,
they
great, great, great.
remind
Thank
me,
you.
of course, if they reminded me that I was on your podcast, I'll give them a copy of this
Sure, 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 sure,
routine
sure,
pack.
sure. Thank you so much for
Of
giving
course.
us that copy of that insightful thing. Yeah, I know there are a lot of things, or a lot of people are struggling with trying to shape their lives,
Yes.
like from spiritual, as we've discussed, from spiritual, mental, all these stuff. And at the
Yes.
end of the day, they do not even know the direction of their lives as well. What would be that single advice that you give to these young people, young men, or at any stage of their lives? What would be that one single advice?
Um, be kind to yourself. These things take time. So
Okay.
we, it may have taken you 20 years to get to where you're at.
Yeah.
If you want to make change, it can take a little time. It's not going to happen in 5 minutes.
Okay.
So be patient with yourself. And if you're kind to yourself, then you can have that patience. But realize that things can take time. And if you will put some energy into improving yourself, you'll see some incredible benefits.
Okay. 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 So we should be kind to ourselves. We should be
Absolutely.
patient with ourselves as
Yes.
well, because
Yeah.
sometimes you realize we are able to show compassion to others, but for
Yes.
ourselves we are not.
You got it, man. That's it.
Wow, interested, interested. So in the role of personal growth, what role does continuous learning play in personal growth, and how can business owners, the people you train, the business leaders, cultivate this, a learning mindset?
I think it's a great question. It's an attitude, it's committing. The key word is that they're committed to their own personal growth. And if you're
Okay.
committed to something, then you're willing to put energy into it and come back
Mm.
to it.
Oh, okay.
So it's commit to yourself and commit to your own business, and therefore take a little bit of time every day to
Hmm.
learn more, to check in with you. Some of the worst decisions I ever made in business, I had a gut feel that said, don't do that. And I ignored it.
Okay.
And I went and did it anyway. And it was a mistake. But again, I wasn't honoring what I already knew to be the wrong decision.
Hmm.
So it's like, if we'll take that time to check in with ourselves, that's why I'm saying it's not just because it's nice, it's
Yeah.
extremely practical for our
Mm.
businesses to do this inner work.
Okay. 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 You've been talking about, you had a business, and then along the line you sold the business. Has there
Yes.
been a point where you you regretted for doing or for taking that step?
No, because it taught me a lot. I learned, and that was my goal. You know, the biggest thing is that I wanted to make my father proud. And so I thought if I'd built up a business and sold it, my father would be proud. And
Okay.
he was, but it wasn't as satisfying as I'd hoped it would be. I needed to be doing it more for me and what I wanted. And there's no substitute for that.
Mm, 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 mm. What was the nature of the business or the company that you had?
Sure. We were a financial technology company. We were a fintech company. So we processed credit card transactions for software authors.
Okay.
So this was back in the late 90s. So we had shareware developers, people who would write a piece of software and give it away for free and say, if you like this, please send me some money. It was kind of the honor system.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, only a few percentage of the people registered, but that made it worth it. And
Hmm.
so I happened to have a merchant credit card account because I'd published a newsletter for programmers.
Yeah.
And I met a guy who helped me do some work online. And he had a piece of software that he was selling, but he could only take checks. And so he was making about 1,000 a month receiving checks.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, let's try my credit card account and let people pay with their credit card. Well, we went to like 5 or 6,000 that month. And we were like, oh my God, there's a business here.
Yeah.
So we formed a team. He was in university, so he left university, and we formed the company. We did 200,000 in sales the first year. We did
Wow.
2 million the second year. We were on
Wow.
track to do 10 the third year. And our competitor called and said, we want to buy you. And so we said, yes, excellent. So we sold.
Oh, great. So you think that it was a good idea for selling out the business?
Yes, yes, for sure,
Wow.
for sure.
Wow.
And it
Wow.
depends on the person, depends on
Hmm.
their purpose with the business. Some people want an exit and to sell it. Other people want to stay in it and keep running it, and they enjoy the cash flow and all of that.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I know for every journey there are challenges, and
Yes.
the issue of personal growth is a very huge one. It's a long journey. It's a more or less like a lifetime journey.
Yes, sir.
So, what are some of the common challenges people face when pursuing personal growth? And in your estimation or per your experience, how do you think they can overcome it, or what should they do to overcome them?
I think the biggest challenge is making time for it. Is people think I don't have time for personal growth. I have all
Okay.
these other things. And my message is you don't have time not to do it. Like you have to do it if you want to have the kind of life I know you want to have. Unless you want to just be in survival mode, you have to make some space for you. And we think we don't value generally ourselves enough to do this. And I know that's a bold statement, but it amounts to making space for you in your day and in your life. And
Okay.
so even if you took 5 or 10 minutes a day and then maybe took an hour for a call or for a journaling session or something, it's time very well spent. It'll pay dividends in your future.
Okay. Great. Great. So, for our listeners, viewers who are watching and then listening to us, and who wants to start their personal journey or personal growth journey,
Yes.
what are your top three tips for them?
Um, I would say, first of all, start investigating it. Start looking into it. Google personal growth. See if there's any material that resonates with you.
Okay.
Maybe talk to your business colleagues and see if they are doing anything along this, and see what's going on for them.
Yeah.
Some people are working on habits, and creating good habits throughout the day. I've been working on that. So the book Atomic Habits is really good for that.
Yeah, I've read it. Yeah.
Um, so it's starting to put some interest into it and just start to do a little research. And I had one guy who liked a particular Japanese flavor, the
Hmm.
ikigai
Hmm.
methodology for getting clear about your purpose in your life.
Yeah.
That's a very kind of Eastern thought system. There's all kinds of, you got to find the systems that you resonate with. And to get there, you've just got to go investigate.
Okay, so you need to be interested in
Yes,
yourself, and then you need to also adopt or identify the system that resonates well with you.
you got it.
Great,
You got
great,
it.
great, great, great. So it's been a long journey. It's been tough. It's been rough. How have you dealt with the challenges as a person throughout? Because I'm sure, like, you were running the business and then you had challenges. I'm sure with
Yeah.
this kind of coaching, you've encountered some challenges. Would you want to share with us? And then how were you able to overcome them?
So I'm doing my own personal growth journey the whole way, you know?
Yes.
So I also have to do these things. So I meditated for 15 minutes this morning. You
Wow.
know, I did a list of gratitudes. I did do some visualization about my day because I know it's Monday today and I better do this because it's going to set the tone for the week.
Yeah.
Um, I'm always, uh, I have support. I have my own people that I get to talk to, um, that I really, when I get frustrated or when I get down or when I get too hard on myself,
Hmm.
they can bring me back. You know, my
Okay.
wife is one of them. She's an
Yeah.
amazing partner with this.
Oh.
So having that as a resource is incredible for me every day. But I have to do my own work just like everybody else. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Oh, great. 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 So before we wrap up, how
yes, sir.
can our listeners and those watching get in touch with you and learn more about your coaching services?
Sure, man. So the best way is to go to my website, which is charlesrose.coach. So if they
Okay.
just come here, you can book a 30-minute call with me or send me a message or just see what I'm up to.
Okay. Okay. So that is the only way to get to you, through your website.
It's probably the easiest. You could also you could look me up on LinkedIn,
Okay.
and we could put a link on your show notes, but probably the easiest is just come see me on my website.
All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. So, is there anything you want to share with our audience about personal growth and its importance, probably in running a business, probably for your own self, or yeah?
Yeah,
So,
just the importance of it. It can make the difference in success and failure, and it can also make the difference in you enjoying it versus it being, hell a lot of the time. And it's like, do you want to live in the drama of everything, or do you want to live in a place of peace and a place of loving what you do and being excited to do it every day? Because that's available.
wow, wow, wow. So, 25 years of being in this game. Which platforms have you been on? Do you have a count of the number of people that you've coached? And yes, can you share a
Um,
bit with us?
oh my God, I have, I keep my notes in Evernote and I have thousands and thousands of note because I take a note for every session I do.
Yeah.
And there are many, many thousands of notes in there.
Okay.
There's over 4,000 notes from that.
Wow.
So, and I've only
Wow.
been capturing into this platform for a while. So, yeah, there's a fair bit of it.
Wow. 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 Great. Great. So does it pay? Does being a transformative coach pay?
Um, Not as much as being a fintech founder did so far. However,
Okay.
it's a lot more rewarding. It's a lot more fulfilling. I know I'm making a difference in people's lives.
Hmm.
So, um, and I'm also in the process of still scaling and growing my business, and
Yeah.
being on a podcast is part of that for me.
Okay. Great. 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 Yeah. So thank you so much, Charles, for coming and sharing your insights and the wisdom you have with us today. It's been good because I believe that personal growth is something we all need, and more or less it's a powerful foundation for anything we want to do, for business, for education, for whatever it is. And I know listeners, viewers also take something out of it. And then for those who want to go on that journey, whether personal for their personal stuff or for business, they will get in contact with you. And then I think probably myself, I'll be in contact with you to see how best I can also shape my business or my for myself as well. And because it's something we all need as individuals. So thank you for coming on board. And yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Obed. Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you so much.